Have you ever heard of a death car? It's a vehicle that becomes famous for the well-known individuals who died inside them. Many death cars sit inside museums, while others have simply vanished, taking their grisly backstories with them. A Michigan man believes he's been in possession of a death car for decades. He's hoping citizen sleuths recognize the car and can help him piece some clues together so he can solve what he believes to be a real northern Michigan whodunit. A mystery is something that can't be understood or explained.
There's a trunk that's opened up.
Unless the necessary clues to solve it.
This is when they hauled it out of the barn.
Present themselves.
Been sitting in that same place for 15 or 20 years.
Bob Lucas has believed for decades that he owns a mystery.
The 1960 Lincoln Continental Mark V.
Purchased in 1990 in East Jordan, Michigan.
That car was hidden in the barn.
It's Bob's belief a gruesome secret was hiding with it. Look closely at this photo.
Size of my little finger.
Bob knew immediately it wasn't just a crack.
You can see the bullet hole.
He checked the interior and discovered something more disturbing.
The blood had seeped through there, through the seat covers.
Thoughts turned to theories.
As far as I was concerned, somebody was killed in that car and bled to death on that front seat.
Soon after buying the car, he began restoring it.
I put a new windshield in it.
The seats were reupholstered.
It didn't occur to me that it should be investigated at that time.
Nearly 3 decades later, what might have happened has begun to weigh on Bob's conscience.
I'd like to know.
Has he unknowingly been in possession of criminal evidence?
I had the FBI over and the local sheriff, and they look over, and the FBI agent says, well, can we haul this in and get some DNA? And I said, sure. But then I never heard any more about it.
It's definitely a curiosity.
Enter Ross Richardson. Ross runs a website dedicated to solving Michigan mysteries.
Some of the most famous cars in the world are death cars. There's Kennedy's Lincoln Continental, Bonnie and Clyde's Ford Deluxe, James Dean's 550 Spider.
He did some digging using the vehicle identification number.
The only previous title we had was in Bob's wife's name.
No prior records exist.
We've approached local historians from the area, law enforcement.
Could a blood stain still remain?
There is a chance. We don't know what they did in the restoration process or how much of that was repainted under the carpets or seats. But there is a possibility that blood went to a location where DNA could still be extracted.
A familiar name has been bantered about.
Jimmy Hoffa.
The American Labor Union leader who vanished in July 1975.
That's pretty interesting, that time period. The 60s, the early 70s, there was a lot of organized crime around. Of course, we're familiar with the story of Jimmy Hoffa.
His disappearance continues to be a Michigan mystery.
I sent a letter to his son, James Hoffa, with a picture of the car, and I never heard anything from him.
Bob and Ross strongly believe if this rough-looking Lincoln could talk,
something happened that I didn't know about.
It would have a grisly tale to tell.
There is a story behind who died in this car. We just don't know what it is.
I'd like to know what the story is. Somebody knows if they're not dead.
Bob Lucas and Ross Richardson have created a special email address where citizen sleuths can send information to help. If you can find that email address on our website, wzzm13.com. Just click on this story. Interesting stuff, Juliet.